what, the 40 minute that the free 40 minutes that I get from Zoom.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll have to be really concise.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
Normally my interviews are somewhere like 20 to 30 minutes, something like that. But
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, I think what I was saying was just the small town kind of thing that I have found here. And then it's like you meet somebody, and then they introduce you to people, and you start following someone. You're like, oh, these people are also following one another. So it's been really amazing. And what I just started as kind of like a fun thing to do and a way to network with people a couple of years, 2, 3 years ago now, I guess, is now like my little baby.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of you're absolutely right. Boston is such a tight-knit community, particularly in the entrepreneurial kind of
Yes.
realm.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of the ways that Boston Women's Market has been able to grow quite organically over the years because one maker has a good experience with Boston Women's Market and it feels good for their business. So they tell their friends and they want
Yeah.
their other friends to get involved. And then all of a sudden we're getting emails like, oh, can I, my friend and I are going to be doing Boston Women's Market together. Can you put us next to each other? And it really is like such like a community type of environment. And that is completely what Boston Women's Market is all about. So it's
Yeah.
just amazing how naturally, particularly between women, that
Hmm.
happens.
Yeah.
And it's so essential for small businesses. It's so good.
It really is. And actually, I think it was a year or so ago, I was thinking, wow, wouldn't it be great to have some of the people who have come on the podcast, be able to like share their wares or something around the holidays. Literally,
Yeah.
that's what I was doing. Was thinking about trying to invite some people to do an event where they could do that. Damn if I don't stumble upon you, right? Like, oh my God, look at this Boston Women's Market. It actually is a thing. That's how I found you.
That's awesome. I love that so much. I mean, the holidays are so important for us and they're so crazy busy. We have so much information going out. It's hard to like kind of get it all out there in a digestible format. Like I was just working on our social media schedule for November and December, and it's like, oh my God, there aren't enough days on the calendar to be able to broadcast everything we're doing where it's not going to like confuse the heck out of people.
Yeah. Well, while we're chatting here, and I know we're waiting for Africa to join us, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that she's able to, but let's get to the beginning of how the two of you met and how
Yeah.
you started Boston Women's Market.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so Boston Women's Market started in 2017. And we were actually originally a team of four people.
Okay.
We were all local girls. We had different reasons to come together. And I do wish Africa was here right now because we always have this like dispute about the first time Africa and I met. Like
Uh-huh.
we have totally different distinct memories about the first time we met. She's
Right.
like, no, we met at a restaurant. I'm like, no, we met at a Pete's Coffee and on the edge of the North End. So it's just funny. So we all kind of actually met each other at one point or another via Instagram.
Hmm.
Um, Primarily because we were all looking for a type of community. I, in particular, had just moved back to the Boston area from San Francisco.
Okay.
So I went to Suffolk University here in Boston for undergrad, and then I worked in Boston for about 10 years, moved to San Francisco, and then moved back. I'm just a New Englander, it's just who I am. And the city had like totally changed. Like it felt like I was moving to a new place.
Wow.
So I was looking for a way to reconnect with small business. I thrive off of it. It is really kind of my passion.
Someone else is
And
about to join us, just so you
yeah, it looks like
know.
Africa's about to join us, and she could definitely chime in here.
Didn't mean to interrupt there, but hello,
That's okay.
Africa.
Hi, how are you? I am so sorry. I'm in the car.
No worries.
We had an appointment. Mom life is real right now.
Congratulations. And new mom, is this your first?
First baby.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so you chimed in just at the right time. Actually, Kara was telling me that there's a dispute between the two of you as to where or how you first met.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So we always get this asked, and it's pretty funny. But I think we met at a restaurant, and she thinks we met at a coffee shop, and it was completely different days, but I just have my first memory of Kara at that time in that restaurant where I was just like, oh yeah, I need her in my life.
So she did just mention just before you popped on about how you kind of all interacted on social media and kind of were looking to do something. So you were like-minded in that sense, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think me and Kara have like similar background stories of how we were raised and what kind of families we were raised. Kara's family was, they all had their own small businesses, and my mom had her own small business. So I was in the vendor aspect of things as well. So I would go to markets with my mom, and I would help her set up, take down, go every weekend and go and do like all those like the heavy lifting kind of thing. And I saw the that side of market life, I guess I would call it market life.
Yeah, we call it
Instead
market.
of yeah, so instead of organizing the market, and I saw the downfalls of like what is like, okay, so they didn't offer us food, or they didn't have water, we never had anybody that looked after our tables, or the way that it was organized. So I think that's where me and Kara both come in, and we're like, okay, we've seen the struggles, so we want to apply those to our market and be able to support those vendors in every single way possible.
Yeah, I think that really that really does kind of embody what we try to bring to the table for our small businesses. We already know how many personal struggles and professional struggles women in general go through. I mean, Africa right now, she just had to bring her kid to an appointment, and then she's hopping on a podcast. Our makers and entrepreneurs are doing the exact same things.
Exactly.
No, you're juggling a life to pursue a passion that you really have. And it's something that we really try to recognize throughout our community, really try to nurture and bring support to this, to all of our events, or all of our community events, all of our in-person selling events. So it's definitely something we try to always apply in our own life.
Yeah.
So you did say that it started, there might have been a couple of other people involved in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were a team of four, and we ended up, after the first year, we ended up just being Africa and I, because the other two girls had different passions in architecture and also early education. We all kind of went our separate ways, but Africa and I were just like, you know what, this is something that we feel like needs to continue. We both had a passion for it. So after the first year, we only had a couple of events. We just slowly started to build off of it. And it's taken us 6 years to get to where we are, in a pandemic and
Yeah.
adapting. But that's like any small business, right? You go through different ebbs and flows. So
Yeah, I think something that I'm very proud of is that we survived the pandemic, because
yeah,
that gave us the opportunity to be very creative with our business, because before we were just doing in-person markets, and after that we started having workshops, online workshops. We started our shop, our Boston Women's Market online shop. We created different opportunities within Boston Women's Market to help vendors, and also to bring all those products from those vendors to the public. So it gave us a very good opportunity to really expand and see where we could get to, and trial and error, and here we are.
Yeah.
yeah,
In a lot of ways, the pandemic, and this is the second time I've heard it this week, really helped people to dig in and dig deep as to how are we gonna, pivot, which was the word of the day, right, back then,
Mhm. Yep.
and continue to be able to help our community.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
that's exactly it. And a lot of these ideas that Africa had brought up, they were things that were in the back of our minds. We wanted to do it, but it's like, when do we have time to actually sit down and do it? Because so I think a lot of people, whether it's professionally or personally, like the pandemic was a blessing and a curse to a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah.
And for us, we, during the beginning of the pandemic, Africa and I went for a walk at at a reservoir near my house, and we were like, what are we going to do? We brought our dogs and we sat on a rock overlooking some water, and we're like, okay, what's our plan? Like, what are we going to do? And we just
I have a picture of that moment.
Yeah. I love
and we
that.
just kind of adapted every day. And like, I know personally, we saw so many people doing so many cool things with Instagram lives and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And I think it did, I know I felt a lot of pressure to deliver to our community. And it took us a little bit to be like, okay, this is the role we're going to play in this situation. We don't have to try to fill all these holes. We just have to figure out what our community needs from us right now. And that's what we try to do. And I think it was hopefully successful. And I think it definitely pointed us in 2021 at a great launching point into getting back into in person and
Mhm.
getting back into an audience, on a face-to-face level.
Yeah.
And this whole idea for you started with like a one-time event, right? That's what you thought it was
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a one-time event in Jamaica Plain.
Mhm.
And if you think back to 2017, what was going on at that time? It was, Trump had just gotten elected,
Mhm.
and Me Too was really kind of gaining that momentum and steam. And then the Jamaica Plain community in general, they're so appreciative of the arts, the offbeat, the vocal, the, people that represent something. And so it was just a wonderful place to have a jumping pad and that launching pad.
Mhm.
But it was so well received at that time that it was like, oh, like this could be something. This could be something else. This could be meaningful besides
Yeah.
just doing this one event.
I think Boston Women's Market initially started only as an Instagram account, as an online platform where we wanted to feature those Boston makers. And then after that event, like Kara said, it was like it was so popular, and they were asking us when were we doing more? When like where were we going? And I was like, I don't know. This was supposed to be only one time. But I remember one of our first markets, our holiday market at a hotel. And I was thinking, this is a lot of work. This is like, we were sitting there the night before until like pretty late at night, drawing our chalkboards and like hanging signs and organizing all the tables. And I was like, I guess we're doing this for sure, for sure. But I have that that moment really stuck in my head. And we were trying to do so many things. Like we were doing like family mini photo sessions with like photographers from the area, and we would set up a room. And we've done so many things of like trying what works, trying what doesn't. And at this point, we are so like, we know exactly what's going on. We think like it's like that's not gonna work. That's gonna work. That this specific vendor is gonna be great for this area, or this specific vendor is gonna be for the other area. So I think that now we have like a good role
Mhm.
on things and getting larger, I guess.
Yeah, I guess you are. Now you're all over the place. And of course, with the holidays, this has got to be one of your biggest times of the year. You're doing a lot of holiday markets. I saw you're at Quincy Market now. This is exciting.
Yeah,
That's a big
it's a big deal. Yeah, it's
it's a
kind of
big deal for
like,
us, yeah.
yeah, I was saying this to Africa, I think last week. I was like, a year or two ago, I would think back to like, oh, like what's our next step? Like, when are we going to really make it? Because I think any entrepreneur, no matter how big or how small you are, you have like that imposter syndrome of like, am I a business owner? Like, am I legit? And now that it's like, oh, we're going to have a banner on the side of Faneuil Hall Marketplace. And it's like, oh, I guess we're legit now.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
it's like, oh, now what next? Like, where do we go next? How do we move forward after this? And now that's the question.
Ah,
Um, but I mean, the holidays, besides, us being able to build these amazing partnerships with these major stakeholders within Boston, it's such a vital time for the community members and for the small businesses, because right now is when they set themselves up for success for the next year.
right.
Yeah.
So without that successful holiday season of sales and revenue coming in for their small business, how are they supposed to create new products next year and innovate and market themselves and and spread their business even further throughout their community without this good selling season. So that's why people really, I mean, they're some of the most hardworking people I've ever met,
Yes.
are the small business owners that we get to work with every day. And sometimes I think like, oh, I'm tired. Oh God, like we have another event, like fifth day in a row. And I'm like, well, you know what? I'm not the only one out there doing it. We have
Right.
vendors right now that are sitting out in the cold for 6 weeks in a row. And I just try to remind myself, you know, if they can do it, then I can do it. And we're here for that reason.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not
so
as tolerant with the weather than
with the
Kara is.
cold, Africa's from Madrid, so her
Okay.
cold tolerance
I'm
is,
I'm
you know,
I'm too Spanish for this weather, I swear. That it's true. But it and also I just put my baby in the car and we're still rolling.
Yeah,
She's
you know, one of the things I really like too is that not just for the holidays, but it just seems like through all the whole year, but you are also giving tips on your Instagram for people to set themselves up. Like you were talking about how this sets you up for next year, right? So you give them tips on you know, how to kind of package what they have to sell and, you know, stocking up on those popular items, things like that, so that they can move through this holiday season and set themselves up for success to start the new year.
yeah, we
yeah.
really, yeah, I think that's one of the differences with Boston Women's Market. We're year round. We're
Yeah.
not only about just creating a couple markets during the holiday season. We want to be supportive and influential in various aspects year round. So community to community advice and vendor to vendor advice is really important to us and sharing that. In the beginning of the year, the first 6 months of the year, we always launch a workshop series, and it's always free, called the Empower Her Workshop Series, all
Love
about
it.
educational things related to small business, from, you know, how to optimize your social media, create a social media plan, to should I be a sole proprietor or LLC from a legal perspective, which could be so, you know, legal, finance, all those things can be so scary for a business owner.
Yeah.
So we tap into these other experts within our community, to share their expertise and their, you know, their guidance about these different topics. And we use the first 6 months because it is that time where a small business can actually sit back and think. And we're the same way. We need the first, you know, 4 to 6 months of the month to really reevaluate what just happened
Uh-huh.
last year. How do we regroup? What is our plan moving forward? And we even use these workshops to our advantage, where we learn something every single time. So we can share and bring that knowledge to our wider audience. It's only a win-win for everyone. And we try to continue that throughout the year through various platforms,
Yeah.
newsletters, social media. We have a YouTube channel where you can watch all of our workshops on demand whenever you need to refer to something. So we're definitely trying to be that community backbone.
I love that you have those and that they're free. That's amazing. I talk to so many people, as you can imagine, on this podcast who are starting their business or, you know, getting it started, and they tell their stories of how they knew absolutely nothing about just what you mentioned, you know, should it be an LLC? You know, they don't know anything about what they just know they have a passion for something.
Yeah.
And the fact that you offer these programs, I hope that somebody is hearing this right now and learning about it and knowing that you can be a resource for them.
Oh man, that's our goal, right?
Yeah.
That's our goal. Whether you're learning something from us, if you're learning something from another vendor that you meet at one of our markets, that is just our bread and butter. That is just what we love, and that's what we thrive off of. When we hear that feedback and our stories from our community, that, you know, because I know as a small business owner, it often just feels like you're talking out into the universe and you're like, hello,
Is
does
anybody
anyone
hearing this?
hear me? Yeah, does anyone hear me? But that's half the battle. And when you actually do get that feedback from someone that they found something you were doing useful, it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. And that is the mentality of every small business owner. You just keep going. And as Africa said, you keep testing things, and sometimes things go crap and sometimes it's great, and you just keep trying.
How does it feel for
Exactly.
you? now to look back, you just mentioned you have a YouTube channel and all these different things where you were like, we're just going to do this market. And like, now look at all the things you guys are doing.
I think I think
you go.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of our small businesses would relate to our growth because a lot of the businesses we work with in our community started with us. We call them like our OG vendors, and just like they've seen us grow, we've seen them grow too, which is super fulfilling.
Yeah.
I don't know, Africa, what do you think?
So I think what shocks us the most, not shocks us, it's like what makes us really see the growth is like people that started with us as like their first time markets or whatever, like some of them are like signing contracts of wholesale with the hospital gift shops or Whole Foods or CVS or whatever, and they're selling their products in these major stores and seeing the local community getting their product out there, and us like being one of the catalysts where we were supporting them to really put their product out there and seeing those people grow. Because sometimes I think me and Kara both go through a lot of imposter syndrome, and we just think that we're like in a certain place and we might be like 10 steps ahead of what we're thinking, and we see those people and we're like they they crushed it. We were there to support. So that's something that I really love seeing from coming from our business, and then seeing how, from where we started, our website was crap. Thank you, Kara, for making that happen. If not, I'm no website designer, and she is.
Wow.
She really knows what she's doing. But it's just like where our website started, how our Instagram was, and how young I was. I thought of it like when me and Kara we were on another podcast last week, and I was thinking back and I was like, oh my God, I was 22 years old and I'm 30 now.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
a lot of personal growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life
For
changes.
sure. Yeah.
I love
Babies.
Now we have now I have a baby, Kara's married, all the fun stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm interested to know what it takes to be a vendor. How could somebody come on board with you? I'm imagining right now might be tough. You're probably full with people for the holidays, but
yeah, it's like one of those good problems where we can't create enough opportunities. We can't keep up with the demand. And that's something that, we really take to heart. We try to be really thoughtful about placing vendors in the right opportunities. But anyone can join us. I know we're called Boston Women's Market, but if you align with our values and what we're trying to bring to the community, you can participate in Boston Women's Market. One of the funny questions that we get a lot is, well, at least I think it's funny.
I think it's hilarious too.
Yeah, particularly first-time vendors, they'll be like, well, could my husband come with me and help me? Oh, we're like, of course they can. I think that's one of the most amazing things about Boston Women's Market. We know the husbands, we know the moms, we know the newborn babies, we know everyone. It's like seriously a family affair.
I think we've even gotten the question of like, can men attend? And I'm like,
yeah, can men?
Why wouldn't you be able to attend? Like even friends of ours that are close to us, they were like at the beginning stages. It's like, wait, can men attend? And like, and it's like one of my friends was saying, it's like, well, it just the name doesn't sound very exclusive. And I was like, well, that's what the name started to be, and this is what we became. But we are more than like everybody is more than welcome here, and it's as long as you're aligning with our values, and we're there to support too. Like it's just I think it's a funny question.
It is funny. But so the best way, if you're a small business and you want to get involved with our community, you just go to our website. We have a section in our top navigation that says for business owners. We lay it all out. You just join for free and you start getting our communications about selling opportunities. You don't have to apply to all of them. Maybe one of them you're like, this doesn't seem like a good fit for me, but this one at the local brewery seems right up my alley and I think my products will fit. And you can go and apply. we really work hard to keep our registration fees for vendors really approachable. We want you to keep as much money as possible reinvested in your small business, not paying for a space. So we try to be really conscious and considerate of various people's stages of their business. You know, not everyone has that disposable income and revenue for their small business yet. And we really want to be approachable to a variety of different business owners, different backgrounds, all that sort of thing, different stages of their business. So anyone can participate in Boston Women's Market. And even if you're not ready to actually put yourself out there and come to our market and sell your goods, because putting yourself out there is so scary. Your first market can be really intimidating. Maybe you just want to start connecting with the community.
I think that's something. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
Something that that we say a lot is that Boston Women's Market is a good place to start and a good place to continue to grow your business, because we don't only, I think since we are approachable on prices and we have a lot of new businesses that just recently started, we're a great place to start. And also we're a great place to grow. So in whatever point that you're in, you're more than welcome to join. And we've had vendors that show up their first market and they're looking at me like they look lost. They're like,
you're in headlights.
Look at that. Yeah, it's like, look at that vendor. They have their own tablecloth with their logo printed on it. Or like, look at this. And I just showed up with 3 products and I'm like, good for you. What do you mean? This is great. Like, you put yourself out there and you decided to come and show your product because you know that it has value and you spent so much time and effort in your in this product that you created. So I think it's a great place to show up and be like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. And it's another place to show up and it's like, look at my display. I've been doing this for years.
Yeah. So even if you're not ready, like if you're like, you know what, I need to group myself still, we have so many other things that you can participate in with Boston Women's Market besides our selling opportunities. You can come to one of our Empower workshops and just learn with our community. You can, you know, at least once a year, we're hosting community gatherings at a brewery where we all just get together as small business owners and connect outside of a selling environment. We have DIY workshops that you can come and learn how to wreath make or watercolor or sneaker paint.
I love that.
Yeah,
there's the sneaker painting. That looks fun.
Yeah. So there are so many other ways you can get involved that don't, you know, if you're just not ready to come and sell, that's okay. Start building that community, and then it's going to be even more positive once you are ready.
I like the idea of just attending and seeing what other people are doing. If you're a little nervous to dip your toe in just yet, at least take a look at what other people are doing, and it can give you an idea so that when you're ready to pull the trigger, you know, you can show up, you know.
Absolutely. We have that all the time. Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. We have vendors that do that with us all the time, that they show up and they're like, hey, I own my own business and I wanted to come and see what you guys are all about. I saw that you guys were here and I wanted to check it out, and come in and they talk to vendors, they ask questions, and then we most of the time see them back in markets selling their products.
Yeah. And I think that women especially, for the most part, look to help one another. So if you are in there and you know, to go up to another vendor and ask them how they got started or something, usually you're going to find that people are pretty receptive to want to help and lift other women.
That is one of our kind of value points, that if you're not on board with that, then you probably shouldn't be with Boston Women's Market.
Yeah.
And we're kind of, you know, we really try to foster that environment. If you're not willing to help your neighbor next to you, like stake down their tent, then maybe this isn't the right place for you. We do not foster, we definitely foster a community of togetherness and support for one another. Even if it's like, you know what, I have to use the bathroom. Can you watch my table for a second? We don't have this competitive or territorial kind of approach to Boston Women's Market. We are there for you to succeed. So whether it's with us, with another market, at another store, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. We want you to succeed and grow. And that's why we're all here. So
I love
yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah, I'm
definitely,
glad to hear that
really
that's one of
important.
your values.
Yeah.
Ladies, thank you so much for joining me. I really loved hearing more about what you're doing and what you stand for and how you're growing. It's really a pleasure to chat with you and to just see the success that you've garnished over the past 6 years being together.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Yeah.
Thank
Whether it
you
was
for
a
having us.
restaurant or a coffee shop, it doesn't matter. Whatever.
I'm, the last couple of years I've been recalling this coffee shop, and I will
See?
stick
That's
to,
the
I
first
will
time I've
stick,
heard her say that.
yeah, I will stick to my story of the restaurant. So, but I started to recall the coffee shop. I was like, really? But I feel like we've met there other times, so maybe I'm getting mixed up. So I don't know. Yeah, but thank you for so much for having us. It was a pleasure talking to you and telling you about our Boston Women's Market.
Yes, ladies, thank you again. I know this is a busy time of year, so thank you for allowing me a few minutes of your time in Africa. Kudos to you. Look at her, just like putting the baby in the car, doing the podcast.
No big deal. We got this.
Right.
I'm definitely a multitasker.
All right. So I'm going to stop the recording, but I just want to thank you again for your time. And hang on one sec.